Hey guys, good afternoon. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It is great to be with you. It is June 5th. If you're wondering on the day, well, it's Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. Welcome everyone to IFYL Inspirations for Your Life. You know, we start every single Saturday with a brand new master topic. We roll all the way through the week and we finish up on a Friday. Okay, so the master topic for the week, I'll get that in just a second. But whether you're here with me at 3:23 p.m. today, 3:23 a.m., 6 a.m., 6 p.m., 12 noon, 12 midnight, doesn't really matter. Thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate that. All right, guys. So the master topic for the week is realizing your potential to achieve. We're on series 3, which incidentally means that, ladies and gentlemen, we are on, yes, we are on the third year, 23rd episode in the third year. And the granular topic for today is none other than transform your life, breaking bad habits, and realizing your true potential. All right. So, break bad habits. This is very, very important. So many people can't get to where they want to be because they're stuck with a bad habit that either they created or maybe one that got created for them because they were doing something over and over again and not even conscious they were doing it. And so, an important part is realizing your potential to break the bad habits and create a new one. So, whether we're talking about those out there that might be smoking, or we're talking about people out there that just keep shoving more food in their mouth, or maybe we're talking about people that are impulse spenders, or maybe we're talking about people that are abusers, either in relationships, or maybe they're getting abused because they're being too nice, which is a thing that happened to me. And I explained that to you guys a while ago, what happened. And I want to just share with you that that's a bad habit. So a bad habit is actually saying yes when you want to say no. A bad habit is saying no to yourself when you really want to say yes. And so when we think about a bad habit, so what are some top bad habits people have? Well, there could be things like you interrupt people, when you're talking. Another one could be that you're a procrastinator, right? Um, I've talked about overeating, right? I've talked about that. But what are the top world bad habits that people have? If we had to think about that just for a minute, um, some of the bad habits out there would be stuff like talking over people, allowing yourself to get distracted from what you should be doing, cramming for exams the night before, excessive alcohol consumption, failing to go to the dentist for regular cleanings and checkups, failing to protect your skin against harm from the sun, um, maybe continuing to follow an irregular sleep schedule. I'm not just talking about 1 or 2 nights or a week. I'm talking about just doing it over and over again. Eventually, that affects you. Okay. Ignoring physical symptoms of potential health problems, regularly carrying a heavy bag on the same shoulder, sitting for long periods of time, skipping meals in an effort to lose weight, and not limited to smoking cigarettes. There are things with food, things like binge eating, consuming caffeine during evening hours, consuming too much salt, consuming too much sugar, dipping a chip or cracker back into a communal salsa, or dip after taking a bite. Yeah, that's a real bad one. Drinking too many high sugar beverages, eating fast food, eating food that has been open for too long, eating too many carbohydrates, eating too much food, eating too much red meat, eating too quickly, eating very large meals in a single sitting, eating with your mouth open, failing to eat enough fruits and vegetables, not eating enough carbohydrates, not eating enough food, skipping breakfast, slurping soup, snacking before bed, stress eating, and the yo yo dieting. Bad hygiene habits, coughing without covering your mouth, failing to dry your hands after washing them, failing to floss your teeth, failing to use soap when washing your hands, failing to wash your hands frequently enough, not bathing frequently enough, not brushing your teeth, not properly disinfecting or cleaning contact lenses, picking your nose, picking your teeth when other people are around, preparing food without tying back long hair, reusing towels too many times, sleeping in contact lenses, sleeping in makeup, sneezing without turning away from others and covering your nose, spending less than 20 seconds washing your hands, using a worn out toothbrush, wearing the same clothing several days in a row. Personal bad habits: being disorganized, being too sedentary, biting your fingernails, cracking your joints, driving while drinking. That's not good. Drinking too fast, driving too fast, engaging in negative self talk, failing to follow through with things, failing to get an appropriate amount of exercise, too little or too much, failing to get a proper amount of sleep, too much or too little, forgetting to take prescribed medication, having poor posture, having workaholic tendencies, having unprotected or unwise, unsafe sex, not appreciating all the good things in your life, picking the ends of your hair, putting things off until the last minute, self-medicating when you need medical assistance, slacking off at work, smacking your gum, taking on more than you can handle, taking too many over-the-counter painkillers, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, then Advil, right, Tylenol, throwing temper tantrums, distracting entertainment and technology bad habits, allow yourself to get catfished, assuming memes are true, behaving passive aggressively, being too competitive, believing everything you see on the internet, canceling plans with friends at the last minute, considering biased sensational stories to be the same as news, failing asleep with actually falling asleep, I should say. I say so much on the word failing. Falling asleep with the television on, getting addicted to adult porn contact, getting obsessed with hobbies, getting pulled into destructive activities online, getting out too much information to your contacts that you make online, obsessive checking your cell phone, paying for internet subscription that you don't use, paying for too many TV streaming services, picking on people who are different, playing video games excessively, scheduling all of your outings around food, spending too much time on social media, spending too much time surfing the internet, staying indoors too much, substituting online connections for in-person relationships, using your cell phone at the dinner table, watching sports excessively, watching too much television, poor communication and relationship challenges, allowing yourself to be manipulated, assuming that people know what you're thinking rather than telling them, being rude or disrespectful of others, being unwilling to accept constructive feedback from others, believing things a compulsive liar says, eavesdropping on other people's conversations, enunciating words poorly, failing to honor commitments, failing to make eye contact when people talk, interrupting other people when they're speaking, letting people take advantage of you, mumbling or muttering under your breath, promising things you aren't sure you can deliver, putting up with abusive behavior patterns, friends, family, colleagues, putting up with people who bully you or others, putting your faith in people who are known to be unreliable, speaking at inappropriate volumes, too quiet or too loud, spreading rumors or gossip, staying in toxic personal relationships, taking what people say out of context intentionally, talking over people, telling people things others have shared with you in confidence, texting or otherwise using your phone while talking to someone in person, using slang inappropriately, and using voice inferences such as like, So there's a lot more, but I wanted to share some of the top ones. Of course, things like being class, being disruptive, chewing gum in class, being part of spitball situations, right? So we break our bad habits by being conscious of them. So if you are conscious that you have a bad habit, and maybe you're constantly procrastinating or you're constantly eating too much, right? The fact that you're conscious of it will get you to want to do something about it. But it doesn't just go away like that. So then you can say, gee, well, what do I do to stop eating so much? Well, I probably need to portion control. I need to log my food. I need to choose my food more appropriately, right? What do I do if somebody is abusing me, such as abusing my time? I don't mean physical abuse. I'm more like they're abusing the relationship, that they think I'm always available for them. Make yourself less available, right? Practice saying no to others and saying yes to yourself. So another important thing for transforming your life, breaking bad habits routine is to set clear promises. So to set and make clear promises means that you're going to reflect on what it is you want, and you're going to make a pact, a promise with yourself that you're going to do this or you're not going to do that. Or I know that from now on, 2 hours before I go to sleep, I'm not going to binge snack. Or I know that at least once a week, I want to stay healthier. So I'm going to run 2 times a week, 3 times a week, or whatever, right? Or I might just commit to run once a week. Embrace positivity. You know, embracing positivity might not seem like it's going to be a be all end all for you overnight. But the catch is when you live in a positive state, it's like there's so much more room for things to go right in your life. Try this. You could try it tomorrow or later today. Look at things from a positive perspective. And remember what I said about perspectives. When you believe a perspective is positive or a certain way, it is the way you believe it is, whether it is or isn't, right? Henry Ford said something a very long time ago. If you believe, right, he actually said, if you think you can do something, you're right. And if you think you can't, you're also right. So it doesn't matter what other people think. It's you that matters. All right. Seek continuous improvement. I like to call this consistent constructive feedback for short. But being a student, a person that wants to be a lifelong learner is great. Now, there are people that like to brag to the fact that they're lifelong learners, but really they're not. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way. I say that because some people want to brag that they're just into education. You don't need to brag about it, okay? Education should be something you want to do, not for others, but for you, okay? Of course, it will impact others, right? And I have one more point today, guys, and that is this: leverage, leverage, leverage your strengths. You might say, gee, I'm small, I'm this, I'm that. Look at the benefits, or I'm tall. What's the benefit of being tall? You're great on basketball team. You're able to reach things on a shelf. Well, I'm small. Oh, small, maybe you can get into little tiny areas that tall people can't. So understanding that all these things we talked about tonight all drum back to this: realizing your potential. And tonight or today, we talked about transforming your life, breaking bad habits, and realizing true potentials. Now, I remember when I was younger, I had this habit, and you guys might know the habit. It's the habit of pulling up your socks. Somebody ever had that habit? Okay, so I thought I would never get rid of that habit. But I got out of it. Okay. So how to break, I could say the bad habit of pulling up your socks all day. And your socks aren't going anywhere. The thing you have to realize is that why are you doing this? You're doing this because you're feeling insecure. So make sure that the socks are new, put them on, let them set in place, and that's it. Leave them there, right? There's no need to keep obsessing over something, right? OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So in order to get on track, what I did was I put on the new pair of socks. And eventually I just realized that my socks aren't falling down. I think maybe I thought that they were falling down, but they really weren't. It was a perception that I had in my mind. So think about some other things that maybe are bad habits in your life, and how do you break them? Maybe a bad habit is you're always interrupting people. That's one of the big ones. And so when somebody interrupts, I try to be kind and like, hey, I know you want to get into conversation too. Would it be okay if I finished with Paul or with Joe first, and then you can come in? To just interrupt me while we're talking. It's rude, and it not only throws me off track, it throws my friend off track, and it actually delays our whole communication. We got to start all over again. So thinking about bad habits, just being conscious of them. Maybe you're a procrastinator. And then you can think about, well, gee, what can I do? Why do I not want to procrastinate? Because I want to use my time more efficiently. I want to be a better version of myself. You see, if you're trying to break a habit because someone else tells you, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't chew gum, you shouldn't go out late, those are never going to be broken by you. Because when someone else tells you to break a habit, you're going to be like this adamant resistor to wanting to break the habit. We call it the natural rebel. And you might ask this question, this is more of a teen question. Why are some teens rebels? Well, teenage rebellion is when there's conflict between parents and the teens. So the teen rebellion happens due to a brain development and a need for control, a struggle for acceptance, attention seeking over worried parents, hormone changes, and the teens' fight for independence. And so you might be saying, gee, my kid shouldn't do this. My son should do this. My daughter shouldn't do this. It's part of their brain development to rebel. So don't be aggravated with them. Support them on their journey. Okay. Teenagers want to have a considerable say in their lives and take authority over their actions. When parents force decisions, teenagers tend to lash out and defy their parents. A good thing for parents to do is to have conversations with their teens, right? Teenagers love to get attention and may go to great lengths to gain it. They like it when people notice their actions, lifestyle, or appearances. So if you're a parent or someone older, give them a little bit of praise. Okay. And how do you manage a rebellious teen? Allow them to see that you're human and it's the behaviors that are hurting and upsetting to me. It's not you as a person, it's just the behavior that's happening. Don't manipulate them because teens are quick to notice emotional blackmail. Teens want to be treated like adults. Appreciate and praise them, give them new responsibilities, and let them know, hey, you want access to the car? Great. You can have access to the car and the keys on Friday night if you clean out the basement this week. Or you can have access to it every Friday as long as you keep your grades at a B or higher. Let the teen know that you love them unconditionally and you're always there to advise them and sympathize with them. But I think the problem is the teen feels like you're against them when really you're not. You're trying to do what's best for them to protect their lives and to, care for them because you love them so much. But they see it as you being this monster. You're being this protector, and they're not quite okay with that. So what you'll find is that phase does go away, and then they get into college, and you're going to wonder what's going to happen when they come back from college. It's like they change, and the parents change too, because now it's like they're realizing that son or daughter is starting to live a life, is starting to become independent. See, parents want you to become independent, but they're afraid that you're going to make mistakes. See, that's the big challenge. So when you can leverage a strength to say, hey, look, mom, look, dad, I know you're worried about me taking the car out. Dad, I can tell you every time I've driven with him, I'm really safe. There's only two people driving. I'm only two people going to be in the back seat with me. I'm not going to even put the radio on. I'm not drinking at all. I'm the designated driver. And we're only going to stay out till 11 o'clock at night. You see, when you give your son or daughter, let's say, a little bit of leeway, let them use that. You might say, hey, gee, you can stay out. We just ask that you come back like by 2 a.m. or by 11, whatever it is. And when they start to rebuttal and say, oh, mom, oh, dad, that's terrible. Look, we're giving you some freedom here. We've never let you take the car on your own, or we've never let you cross the street. I remember when I was younger, and we had a place down in South Jersey, that a big battle was always walking from our street up to what we called 7th Ave, and then you had to cross over one highway, which is a one-way highway, which had a lot of traffic in the summertime. Then you cross over another highway to get to the beach. And so the thing is, or we would have this five and dime store, and you had to cross the one highway to get to the other. And I remember it would be like I had my bike, so I was never allowed to take my bike across these highways for a while unless my mom or dad or an adult or somebody older than me was able to make sure it was safe to go across. And I was also taught that you never ride your bike across, you walk your bike across. That makes sense, right? Because if something goes wrong, you want to be able to handle it. So you might be wondering, what happened? Well, finally, I said to my mom, I said, look, I'm this years old. I mean, I should be able to cross the street now. And this was actually before my teen years. And I was rebelling even before teen because it was like I had all these restrictions, but they were concerned that somebody could, run into me and could kill me. And so they were concerned. They were concerned about kidnapping. They were concerned about so many things. And I remember the first time that I went to the intersection with my mom, and she basically supervised me crossing. Like she didn't cross for me, but she said, okay, when are you going to cross? After this, no, I'm going to wait because that's too much. Okay, good. Just take your time. I'm going to go after this car. Good. Walking across. And my mom then saw that I had the wherewithal to be able to cross the street intelligently, right? And not get hurt. My mom, for a while, like if I was crossing the street and going to a friend's house, make sure you call me when you get to your friend's house because they want to make sure I cross the street right. For a while before I was allowed to cross the street myself, they were like, it's okay if Brian's parents cross the road, but one of us have to be there when you cross. And then I remember going to a few of my friends' houses and I could cross the street, but they couldn't yet. And they're like, well, John crossed the street. Yeah, well, John's more mature. So that was how that worked. And then I think the biggest thing for me was the freedom of taking my bike across the street, knowing that I needed to lock up my bike, knowing that I had a responsibility, but with responsibilities in life comes risks. So when we have bad habits, right, there is a risk that you might think of breaking a bad habit. And so you always want to change the bad habit with something else. If you smoke, maybe change it with eating some fruit or taking a jog or doing a meditation. I like to replace it with non-food things. Maybe you have a bad habit for always doing your homework late or for cramming. How do you do that? Every time you finish your let's say your class, you say, look, I'm going to spend 10 or 15 minutes because if I commit to spending 10 or 15 minutes on these notes, I'm going to get a Starbucks or I'm going to get an ice cream when I'm finished or I'm going to get a latte or I'm going to get this. So that motivated me to want to do these a little 15 or 20 minute, and then eventually became 30-minute study sessions. And I still got that milkshake or whatever it was. So we have to sometimes figure out how we can get ourselves excited to break the habit or to do something new. So we talked about some cool stuff here today, and that is you have to break your bad habits. You have to set clear promises. You have to embrace positivity. There's negative people out there, okay? And I've said this before. If somebody's negative, don't be nasty saying, hey, Joe, look, I know you're having a bad day. I'll come back when you're feeling better. Come back again. They're still doing it. Third time, look, I told you if you keep doing this, I don't want to hang with you anymore. Don't make it their fault. Just say, it's me. It's all me. I choose not to hang. It's nothing with you. It's just me. I choose not to be around negative people. You can do whatever you want. And they're going to be so gasped at that, right? And then we have seek continuous improvement. With the bike thing, I remember every time I crossed the street, it was my desire to get better every single time I crossed the street. And realizing that when I'm crossing the street, most cars, they're pretty far away. They would even slow down as they saw me crossing the street, which is the intelligent thing to do. But again, these cars were whizzing by at 50, 55 miles an hour. So you had to wait for a real break or you could get killed. And then the last thing is leverage your strengths. You have so many strengths, but a lot of times we don't go where we want to go because we don't look at the food we have in our pantry. We don't look at the food we have in our fridge. We don't look at the skills that we already have developed. And we forget to be grateful and have gratitude for those. Because when we do that, it's like we stroke our ego to Do more of that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. You know what? It has been amazing, privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you this fantastic June 5th, 2024, Wednesday. We're trying different times to see what works for people. Do check out believemeachieve.com, scan my QR code, and there's so much great information. In fact, we talked about some stuff with business. I think on the Jason Academy, we talked about, how and why do you start a business? And that's a whole series about business things. We've got the Super Motivational Friday with myself. We have Science Fries with John. We have so many things, and you're going to want to check this out because the key to succeeding in life is to keep bringing knowledge into your brain and then choosing to share that knowledge with others. Because, see, when you bring it in, you learn. When you choose to share with others, you learn again. All right, guys, have yourself an amazing rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys real soon. All right, have yourself a great day and a great night.